Welcome back, football friends. How the hell you doing? Today we're going to be checking out World Cup or Super Bowl. Which one is bigger? If you'll allow me to use a little bit of common sense, I'm going to think that the World Cup, which has the majority of the world watching football, is probably bigger than the NFL, that is majority in the U.S. and maybe one or two other countries that have a smaller amount of people playing American football. So I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say it's World Cup. But I am interested to see by how much. Now, I don't know if money-wise comes into play, if it's bigger with viewership or stuff like that. I mean, I would be utterly shocked if it was not the World Cup with viewership and everything else. But you know what? Let's get into it. If you like what I'm doing here and you like the content, like the video, I'd appreciate it. If you want to follow me on my journey, learning everything about football, football culture, fans, and the players, hit that subscribe button. Would love to have you. Well, let's jump into here and see how much bigger the World Cup is than the Super Bowl.
Center of the sporting universe. Between the weeks-long build-up...
Let's back that up a little bit.
The Super Bowl can feel like the center of the sporting universe. Between the weeks-long build-up, the flashbulbs which light up the stadium while the opening kick...
I mean, they're saying it could feel like it's the center of the universe if you're in the U.S. I'm sure that there's a ton of countries that have no idea this even exists.
Cough hangs in the air, and the world-famous recording artist who plays to an audience of millions at half-time, the event has an aura of unquantifiable size. But just how does it compare with the World Cup?
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say
enormous.
not very close.
Super Bowl 56, which saw the Los Angeles Rams defeat the Cincinnati Bengals, was relatively unremarkable in viewership terms. And yet, across the various broadcasting platforms, the game totaled...
Hey, they're showing the Minnesota Vikings on there. Let's go.
Viewership in excess of 112 million.
112
that represented
million.
a rise on the previous year, but it was still significantly short of the 172 million viewers attracted by Super Bowl 51, in which the New England Patriots enacted a stunning comeback against the Atlanta Falcons. But 2022 still described the event's penetration. According to Nielsen data published by NFL.com, 90% of all people using a television in the United States during the event on February the 13th, 2022 were watching Super Bowl 56. So while it has its ups and downs, the Super Bowl dominates its market. By adjusting its estimates to include different sized viewing...
I'm going to be honest with you. I was so mad about my team losing this year that I didn't even watch the Super Bowl. I didn't. And the only thing I really wanted to check out was the commercials. The commercials are actually pretty good, but I think they're getting worse. They used to be really, really good.
Parties, Nielsen calculated that roughly 208 million people watched the most recent Super Bowl.
208 million,
roughly
right.
two-thirds the size of the United States population. But while that describes its local presence and doesn't incorporate the between 30 to 50 million viewers who watched from outside the US, expressing
50
that
million
viewership
outside
as
the
a
US,
percentage of the global population.
I wonder how many of those were like service members, expatriates, or people that are living abroad, Americans living abroad, watching the Super Bowl and stuff like that. And then I know they got some NFL going on in, not NFL, but I think it's like the European League or something. I have to look into this. I think they're trying to broaden more into the EU, and then you got the Canadian League and stuff like that. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how that breaks down.
Population of 8 billion provides important context.
I guess my question would be, how many are not from the U.S. and never really been here, but did end up, start watching and following and liking the NFL?
And also shows that the World Cup is on an entirely different scale. In 2018, 3.6 billion people watched the tournament across the 60.
3.6 billion with a B, billion people watched the tournament across the 64 games played in Russia. Can't even fathom that amount.
For games played in Russia, the average per-match television audience was 194 million. Essentially, on a viewership basis alone, that equates to 64 Super Bowls within a month. According to FIFA's estimates, the total audience across all games and ceremonies in 2022 is expected to rise significantly and exceed 5 billion.
5 billion?
That would be greater than the 3.6 billion who watched the 2012
yeah,
Olympic
that would
Games
be
in London,
greater.
or the 3.2 who tuned in to watch the Rio Games 4 years later. But the final itself has a staggeringly high audience, and as a single one-off game is really the only direct comparison with the Super Bowl.
Okay.
In 2010, 909.6 million people worldwide.
Okay, so that billion was across all the matches leading up to. So I guess the final, what they're doing is comparing the final match for the winner to like the Super Bowl, because they're not comparing all the playoffs and all that stuff leading up to the Super Bowl for viewership. So that would be a more 1-for-1 comparison, but I still don't think that would be anywhere close to. Yeah, it still doesn't matter.
Watched Spain beat the Netherlands, an audience more than 14 times the size of the two countries' collective population.
Wow.
In 2014, that figure rose again, with 1.01 billion viewers tuning in to see Germany defeat Argentina after extra time. And that number grew further in 2018, with 1.1 billion people across the world seeing France defeat Croatia in Russia. It's an upward trend which captures...
All right, so I have a question. I know I'm stopping a lot. I'm sorry, it's a reaction channel. Put my 2 cents in. And it's hit me. Okay, so we're about to have the World Cup here in the U.S. Now, I'm going to throw this out there, controversial or not. Let me know in the comments. If the U.S. won the World Cup, took it all, should they now be respected as, a powerhouse top football nation? Let me know. If we took it, if we won it, brought it home, do we get some respect?
Just the growth of the event, but also the tournament's truly global nature and the final's imperviousness to the identity or size of the countries taking part. In that regard, it's a spectacle and an event without comparison. If you
Yeah,
like
there can't
this
be
video,
anything.
Please consider
Oh, that's it? That's it? Yeah, okay. So, I mean, it's very easy. You don't need a long video to show that the World Cup is massive, right? I mean, it only makes sense. I mean, it's kind of common sense. If you even know a little bit about how popular football is around the world, you have to be ignorant and never watch anything outside the U.S. or know anything about any kind of sports to think that the Super Bowl is anywhere close. I mean, so it wasn't a shock for me. What was a shock is the actual size of how many people are watching. And that's amazing. And I can't wait for the World Cup. I have not watched the World Cup, but I will be watching next year 110%. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and what else should I be checking out. I'm actually thinking about checking out the NBA versus European League basketball fans, because I'm hearing that is amazing. And I could only assume that it would be kind of the same level of enthusiasm as they bring to football. So that'd be really cool to watch, though, because I have watched basketball here, obviously, and I know what that's like. But thinking about the atmosphere from football being brought into a basketball stadium sounds nuts. But all right, let me know what you guys think, and we'll see you in the next one. If you like this content, check out the videos over here, the playlist. I think you'll like those too. So we'll see you later. Bye.